Alright guys, welcome back to our Summer of Manga review video. This is issue 159 that we're doing today, and we have this beautiful cover, I believe was done by one of our Summer of Manga artists. And today we're going to be taking a look at this issue here, and I want to go ahead and go around the table and just introduce some of our new judges for this episode. First we have Frank Simmons. Frank, you want to introduce yourself to people who may not know who you are?
Hi. Yes, Frank Simmons. I am a full-time illustrator, freelance work. I have been in both of them, all of like Saturday AMs, March Art Madness, and a previous Summer of Manga year. I still work on freelance jobs for them, and all sorts of various work that involve illustrating, artwork, at FS Art on Instagram.
Yeah, and you guys actually may have remembered, but I mentioned Frank a couple times in our last video. He actually drew a lot of the pictures for the written short stories for the previous issue. So that is talented Frank Simmons. He also worked on a manga one-shot called Falsehoods and Gakaboom. So be sure to check those out on our previous Summer of Manga issues that we did a couple years ago. Next, we have Joshua Thomas. Joshua, who are you, and why are you with Saturday AM?
Hi, I'm Joshua Thomas. I mainly work on the design for all of the books, the graphic novels, ads, advertisement, marketing, and things like that. So I'm graphic design department. I've been with Saturday AM for 4 or 5 years now. So yeah, I love manga, grew up reading it, and that's why I'm with Saturday AM.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on with this, Joshua. Joshua does a lot of background work for the issues that are produced, and honestly, I don't think we would be where we are today without him. So appreciate everything that you do for us, Joshua. Next, we have Eric Pedrucci. He was actually on our last couple of videos on YouTube. Eric, go ahead and take it away.
Hello everyone, my name is Eric. I'm a digital artist. I make comics, illustrations, storyboards, some graphic projects, and I'm happy to be here again.
Awesome. Eric also did a manga with us. He was a Summer of Manga alumni, and he did a manga called... I'm sorry, Eric, refresh my memory. What was it called again?
Aquila the Mighty.
Ah, yes, Aquila the Mighty. It was a story about a young boy who was given this task to kind of protect like the wildlife and nature, and he has like these special abilities to grow wings, any kind of wings. You guys should definitely check out that story. It was pretty cool. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this issue and see all of the remaining one-shots that we have. The first one I'm going to bring up is a manga called Mural Jam by Jessica H. Voice. Shino is a young artist with a passion for street art. It's always been his dream to become a king amongst street artists, to create a piece so masterful it would be a crime to cover up. His best friend and crush, Lexi, often pokes fun at Shino for resorting to vandalism to boost his portfolio. However, in Shino's misguided view, asking for permission would defeat the purpose of what he's trying to achieve. There's no way for him to know that his work is a masterpiece unless the property owner can't bring themselves to remove the unsolicited piece. During one of his late-night sessions, Shino gets caught by the owner of the building he's painting. Luckily, the owner, Arthur, is quite the art appreciator himself and decides to cut Shino some slack after hearing his reason for painting murals. He challenges Shino to create that masterpiece he's been striving for, and any work that doesn't live up to Arthur's standards will be painted over on the spot. Day after day, piece after piece, Shino covers the wall in what he believes to be his best work, only to be met with Arthur's paint roller seconds after completion. Many failed attempts later, Arthur advises Shino to create something meaningful to him, something from the heart. As he mulls this over, Shino attends a concert starring his friend Lexi, who sings in a local jazz rock fusion band. Inspired by her performance, he rushes to the spot to paint his next mural. The piece is a large portrait of Lexi, glowing in stage lights and surrounded by various musical imagery. To Shino's surprise, this mural moves Arthur to tears because, as it turns out, he's Lexi's father. The story ends on a funny note when Arthur switches into protective dad mode after realizing his daughter is featured in a piece that's meant to be from Shino's heart. So that is the plot of Mural Jam. I will say it doesn't sound like it has changed very much when you start reading it. But here is the art, so you guys can check it out. But what were your thoughts of this one-shot short story, you guys? Joshua, what did you think about this story?
I love street art, so this one was really cool for me. I really enjoyed the premise. I think the only thing I would have said about this one, because I thought it was a really cool premise, I thought the art was really, really solid. I think I was missing a little bit of the motivation, just from like a plot standpoint. I just didn't feel kind of the weight of anything, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. And it sounds like your kid has some commentary too, huh?
Yeah, Julian definitely has something he wants to say about this.
Oh, this is cute. Okay, good stuff. Eric, what about you? What did you think about this one shot?
Well, I like the art. There's still some stuff regarding anatomy that needs to be worked and improved upon, but the the art is very solid. I like Joshua said. I like the plot point of the protagonist having to trying to give something back to the community, and this story reminds me of that one the Boondocks episode where Riley have start to making some street art on his grandpa's house. But yeah, I liked it very much.
Okay, that's cool. What about you, Frank? What did you think about this one shot?
Well, when I first heard of this one shot on like the Instagram announcement, I I keep thinking like Shonen, or it's like it would have been like a kid who would make a fantastic art, and it would just pop out of the wall or something, and he'd face another kid in like an art battle or something. But it's just I was really pleasantly surprised to see it really goes to the characters instead. It really goes to their goals and meeting up with people, and it's like I like to be surprised that way. So what if there was something I would fix about this, it would probably be more like this ending here. Like it really know if Shino really succeeded or not, but it's like I do believe it already does the job.
Right, because the whole point was to try to keep his art up as long as possible without it being taken down, right? But you're more referring to you're more referring to like, I guess, just in general. Like this was more of like a one-time thing, but like will he be able to keep his art up in the long run kind of thing, right?
Yeah, like would Shino have referred back to his own personal dream again to really wrap it all up? To really like, how does he feel now at the end? Does he feel any closer himself to being this famous street guy?
Yeah, that's a good point. Didn't think of that. But I do have to agree with what you guys are saying. I thought this story was very charming. It's a very good idea, having him do kind of like these challenges with the old man, and just to see if he could keep his art up on the wall. And I feel like graffiti isn't really something that's touched on with manga very much, so I thought that this was a pleasant change of pace, and was good to see. And I thought the art was pretty good. It's pretty decent. I feel like there's some things here and there that could be improved. Like if you look closely in here in this panel, the anatomy, like someone mentioned earlier, is just a little bit off. But I feel like if this creator can really nail down the anatomy and maybe come up with some more interesting angles, I think that this creator will definitely grow and become a more refined artist. But excellent story and excellent art. This was Mural Jam by Jessica H. Voice. So if you guys like this one shot, go ahead and vote here with this button, vote now. But let's look at our next entry we have here. And that is Olympus by PCK. Now, this is actually a written story, so I'll kind of give the rundown about what the plot was about. Okay, so what happens when the entire world has access to superpowers? Sports gets a hell of a lot more fun. Our hero, Shin Taiwan, is the lowest ranked brawler in all of Olympus, a combat sport where fighters work with sponsors that design and manufacture talents, temporary superpowers granted in the form of an injectable drug. On the verge of an early retirement, Taiwan finds one last chance in a young prodigious sponsor named Anne, who is eager to get revenge on those that blacklisted her from the industry. Taiwan competes in a wild card round against a fighter named Victor Garza, whose sponsors have created a talent called Shadow Puppets. Any shape he can create with his own shadow, he can turn into a wieldable weapon. Still, Taiwan faces Garza with the urgency of a man with something to prove. However, despite Anne's bold claims, her talent has a latency period for first-time users. Powerless, Taiwan desperately avoids Garza's attacks. As the fight goes on, Garza begins to toy with Taiwan, dealing brutal blows that don't end the fight and simply prolong the slaughter. Then, just as Garza is about to land the final blow, Anne's talent finally kicks in. Let's see. Return to sender, a talent that allows the user to take all the damage they received and send it back at a 2x multiple. Okay, cool. Taiwan takes all of the damage that Garza dealt him and deals it back in one strike. The fight is instantly over, with Taiwan and Anne winning a huge upset. As the world watches this underdog stake their claim for the title, the higher powers of the brawling world prepare for the coming storm. So, first off, just have to say the promotional art for this was amazing, Frank. Good job on that.
Oh, thank you very much. No problem.
Yeah. And the short story itself, I had fun reading this one. I really liked the twist toward the end. You know, you think that the main character is he's just getting walloped by Garza, but at the end he flips it around, and I really like that because I wasn't really expecting that. I will say, in terms of something that could be improved, I would say I feel like I'm missing the motivation. Like, what's the main character's motivation? Like, why is he fighting? Why is he wanting to win? I feel like I'm kind of missing that, so I can like relate more to the main character. But I mean, what do you guys think? Frank, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's actually, I have another angle on this because I did do the illustration at the beginning of it, so I may have gotten a few notes from PCK about it.
Okay.
That I just I don't know if they actually even made it into the story, but I heard it probably from him somewhere. That I thought that I thought that Taiwan was more like older and kind of like running out of like chance that he could be in his career, which I thought was like a goal of his. And I don't think I saw this in this story.
Mm-hmm.
I think like a guy who just wants his final chance to get back into the tournament and go after a career again. So, and I do also thought that the girl, who is backing Taewon, is also like another someone else like ousted from their company who got fired and made the patch herself, and that's like her comeuppance against her company because she can prove she can do it herself and use it on Taiwan to prove it. So these things weren't mentioned very much around in the story here.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely just give all respect to PCK for this. I'm just wondering, did I read it here in the story?
You
I
might
don't
have.
remember. Yeah, I don't remember reading that. Reading all those details in there, it felt very like we were again. It's hard with like a short story, right? Um, but I don't remember getting that backstory.
Yeah, and I even if I don't know if I should have even told about this or not, and my apologies. So, but it's just yeah, just that wasn't there in the writing, but I do it was still great to read.
Mm-hmm.
I still got a great visual feeling that he was there in the fight, like really feeling like he got beat up and like he's down on his luck is great to read through if you're reading it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not experiencing it, but you know he if as the character
Mm-hmm.
you understand it greatly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a couple things were changed with this story just for the sake of either condensing it or just writing it in a way that would read better. So that was probably why it was changed. But Eric, what do you think?
Um, I think I like the reading the story. I think one of the high points was the vivid descriptions, the physical descriptions of the characters and their surroundings. Um, I like the characterization, and if I have to say something negative about it, I think maybe I think from a overall impression, I think with a bit more emotional depth
Mm,
and further exploration of the story's concepts, it
mm-hmm.
could have potential to be even more impactful. The story, I think, the story would benefit from a slightly more deliberate pacing towards the climax and the resolution. But I think overall it's a promising piece with a solid foundation.
Agreed. Joshua, how about you?
I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was a really cool concept, and I thought how it was written was actually pretty solid too. From like the way the fight scenes were described and stuff like that. I think the only thing, and again, there's a caveat, right? Because I understand it's been condensed for certain purposes. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think if this was longer or if it had more space, I think a lot of these things would probably be fixed naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I think one thing for me was like the final payoff of revealing the ability. Like when you read the description and you hear about the delay or whatever, I just the way it was set up in the actual story, I felt the payoff was solid. I just thought it could be better, right?
Mm,
um in a sense that like I got no sense of this kind of like time timeline, right? Of their, he's trying to avoid for a certain amount of time. It just felt kind of like, oh, this thing's not working, and then now it's working all of a sudden. I think because it felt kind of odd when he was talking to his sponsor, and it was kind of shady, but like you just didn't really get the sense of what was going on. I think I would have liked a little more clarity of like, oh, she like didn't tell him that there was a another piece to this. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of felt like I don't know. I just felt like the description didn't give enough clarity to that, and so because of that, the payoff just wasn't as strong as I think it could have been.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
That's
you
it. I thought it
guys.
was honestly solid.
I'm sorry.
I said other than that, I thought it was really solid.
Yeah, yeah. You guys bring up some good points. I thought this was really solid too. So good job, PCK. We all think your short story was fun to read. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Also, just make sure you guys to vote if you haven't already. But let's go ahead and look at our next story we have here. It is called Cosmic Fire by Tomer Kalakuta. All right, interesting. So, I'm reading the description. I won't read it out loud to you guys because the original story was actually quite different. The original story was called Dead End Demon, and it looks like it was about Dace, the son of demonologists who died during a failed summoning. He attempted as a child, now lives a secluded life, ridden with guilt over causing their deaths. Dace tries to forgive himself and accept his parents' love. So yeah, the story basically, the only parallels that the original concept had with this concept was that yeah, there's kind of like a paranormal demonology concept to this, as well as like romance and love. I believe those are really the only parallels, but the original concept was actually very much different. So let's go ahead and give this a look-see. When I read this the first time, I was a little bit tired, so I didn't quite grasp what was going on. But the second time I read it, I thought this was amazing. I love the toning. I think the story is very melancholy in a good way, and I just like the themes, especially like this devil tongue. I think that was a pretty cool concept. And one thing I think could have been improved, I would say, would be the art a little bit. I know the style is supposed to be kind of like loose and stuff, but I will say maybe if it was just refined a little bit more, I feel like that would be kind of what I would be looking for personally. But I mean, as it is, it's very decent as it is, so it's very good. Like this image here is very beautiful. But what do you guys think? I'll go with Joshua first this time. What do you think, Joshua?
This one was really cool. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the mystery. I enjoyed the way everything kind of began playing out. So I felt like I was asking those questions throughout the whole thing, and then I was like, "Oh wow, that's now I'm starting to kind of get that payoff." I think the only thing I would have said was for this one, I think they tried to, like at the very end, there's this specific scene where he's asking Cosmo the like if he has somebody he loves, and Cosmo's basically like no, never have kind of thing. I thought that part to me felt really rushed. I think obviously like if this was a longer story, I think if that part would have been left, I just don't know anything about that character, and so I just don't like that really heavy moment or what is supposed to be a really heavy moment. I just don't feel it because I don't know this character. I don't know what they're about. I don't know I don't know anything about them. So I just felt like if I had gotten more experiences with them to kind of get those feelings, those emotions, I think that would have been a much heavier scene because I loved the dialogue there. there was not a lot of, it just felt like they put it in because they were trying to get there. It wasn't ready. Like that just wasn't the moment yet. But it's a short story, so it's like, it's hard to it's hard to critique that. But that'd be the only thing for me that I thought was like, oh, I wish this would have happened like 5 chapters later, kind of thing.
True. What would you say, Eric?
I like many of the shots and composition for some of the panels, especially the ones where the most ominous looking panels, like the when the demon head witch appears behind the one of the main characters. I really like that one. I love the use of hatching. Um, and again, if I had to say something that I wish I could experience more that I couldn't in this short story version, is to know more about about Cosmo, what he was doing there, because with this amount of pages, when you read through all of them, you still don't know who Cosmo is, and I guess this could add a little bit of mystery to the character. But I think it's more like a story that you read, go by, and the final sensation you feel is content, and be like, oh, okay, interesting story. But I couldn't really get much more emotionally invested in the story or immersed, because I don't really know about those characters and uh, what does the experiencing that they are going through mean to them for me to quote unquote care about. But I really like this short story regardless. So great job.
Awesome. Awesome. Frank, let's get your thoughts.
Yeah. See, what I really liked about this story is I get this like stories by Neil Gaiman feeling, like a Sandman or a Coraline or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
like I guess it's like the Sandman or that guy Dream, or I think a little bit like him, like some. I like that Cosmo is like this a, not really this human, but this being that forever does a mysterious job. Like he's here to help a lot of people out, but like we already said, I also would have want another page at the beginning, like some sort of introduction to him, to really say first what he does, or another line of who he is, because I otherwise think that it's a great setup for characters. Like they know that they have this really like some kind of spiritual job that they do, but I would love to know why does he do it and how did he get into it. If it's like I don't know if like Cosmo was seen as like a central character any more than the boy who needs his help. So it's just which character are we really following here? But otherwise it's still presented greatly. It's just I love a lot of these backgrounds and the shooting stars and skies I'm seeing here.
gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, well, this was a very charming story. I feel like really hit on the heartstrings, and I thought it was well executed. But you guys bring up some good points too. And if you liked this story as well, go ahead and vote. Our next story is called Fandoom by Furzog. And let me see here. Okay. Gani, a 13-year-old boy, spends most of his life trapped in a gaming center that collapsed at the beginning of the meta apocalypse. His only companion has been a personal assistant robot since then. Inez, a cute junk dealer, accidentally sets them free while wandering around when she realizes she could make good money by selling the robot. She tricks the boy into following her to a nearby city. There, they discover that Gani is the only 100% pure human, meaning that he has not been contaminated by Metabrain, the AI that took over the world a decade ago. The Metabrain fears that Gani, being a human with free will, could threaten its existence, so it sends all kinds of threats to destroy him, starting a frantic pursuit in which Gani will have to face ninjas, orcs, magical girls, space warriors, and an infinity of creatures he only remembers seeing in movies and video games. He comes to the conclusion that the only way to live in peace is to destroy the Metabrain. Um, so a couple things were changed. Like, for instance, I don't remember there being a meta brain in this actual story when reading it. Um, and I do remember the human being, like, he's a human, so in this story it's supposed to be kind of like a rare, valuable thing. So some elements were the same, some were changed. But overall, I did enjoy the art a lot. There's some things that could be improved, like the I don't know if you could see this. The anatomy here is a little bit elongated. So just little things here and there with the art, but I thought the one shot was an adventure. It was a fun ride, just like this machine right here. Um, and story wise, I think there's little things here and there. Like I think maybe the risks could have been a bit higher for the characters, set the stakes a little bit higher, just to make the story a little bit more interesting. But I mean, what do you think, Eric, about the story?
So I really like this one. It really gives the adventure vibes. The artwork looks really good. It indeed has some minor anatomical issues, but I think for the this short story is from this issue alone is the most refined, the most professional looking one
Hmm.
regarding the use of screen tones, the line art, and paneling. The I think the how the font and text are displayed in the balloons as well. So for the professional angle, I really like this how everything is done on this short story. Regarding the story, I liked it. I There could be some stuff that could be worked upon. I don't. You said earlier on the synopsis about the human, and when you read this short story, you see that he's not really the protagonist. Is the other girl,
Hmm.
and some speculation of of the fandoms as well. But yeah, it's a really enjoyable read.
Mm-hmm. Frank, do you agree, disagree? What are your thoughts?
I really agree with the artwork is a very tight and refined, and like you got this crowd of people here, and you really put the detail on a lot of different people here. It's there's no like two people detailed and all silhouettes in the back. It's they really made sure that everyone was drawn. They made sure we knew what town they were living in. See, there's a town at the top there. There's like we know they what car they took, and they stay in that car and know that they were in it. The artwork is definitely very clear, but then there's also like the story, which when I read this was not very clear.
Mm.
In fact, like, because that's how I perceive the artwork, or like the story. That's how I perceive the story. That it was just a lot of great artwork, but I don't really know what they're doing, or like why they're why are they going into town, or why are they being attacked. wasn't picking up on it entirely. Something about like they gotta get the boy, trying to steal the boy, but I did not know why until Jackie just gave the summary a few minutes ago.
Gotcha. Joshua, did you have uh, a similar issue with the story, or did you have a different experience?
I thought again, because these are kind of one shots, I can understand some of the lacking and maybe some detail and stuff. I thought personally, I was definitely getting a sense just from context clues that like humans are coveted for some reason. Early on, there was like the daydream that the main character had about, oh, they brought like this powerful weapon or whatever. So you get the sense that like humans can be used as weapons, kind of thing. And with that, then when people were trying to attack, like you just get the sense that like humans are something that people want to own. So to that point, I was like, okay, I think that's good enough for me to understand, like,
Mm.
hey, why are they, like, what the motivation is there. I definitely think, again, like with a lot of these stories, some of them suffer from trying to fit in so much, like, backstory and or
Mm-hmm.
these big emotional moments that just don't have enough detail to actually pay off.
Yeah.
And I think this one had another instance where, like, the very last page, where you've got the main character having this like flashback kind of thing. So you're trying to get like the backstory. And I just think, one, honestly, I just think the panels, if they were switched around, it would have been like, I think it just would have hit differently. But I think just in general, it's also really hard. Like, you have the main character crying kind of thing, but we just don't know enough about them for this emotional, this super emotional moment to really like hit the way that I know it's intended to. But I
Mm.
definitely agree that this is by far one of the most professional looking ones.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the pacing. I think that was the only thing I had was, again, I think it's just really hard with these one shots when you're trying to fit in these like big emotional moments, but there's just not enough space to get enough backstory or character development for them to pay off.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. I could see that. I think after reading it through the first time, I had a good sense of what it was about, but I had to like stop and think about it and like look back at some panels. I'm like, oh, okay, well, what was I forgot her name right here, this the character here, but I had to kind of ask myself, okay, well, why was she interested in him again and the robot, and why did she want to take them here? It was clear, like it's explained in the story, how the setup is, but you kind of, it's not, I guess, not entirely clear. It's explained, but it's not entirely clear in my opinion. But yeah, you guys bring up some good points. Artwork, like you guys said, amazing. I think this artist, you could tell, has been drawing for a while, and it shows. So very good. But that is Fan Doom by Furzog, and I love the colors here they did. Let's go ahead and check out our next story, The Paranormal Shift by Rovane A. Beckford. And let me bring up the description here. If the average person were to ask Robin and Casper what they do for a living, they'd say, "We're security guards," but simply calling them guards is a bit of an understatement. They work at a large cemetery called Ghost Town, and on a good day, they laze about watching movies and TV shows. But on a bad day, they're exorcising superpowered ghosts, hell-bent on escaping and wreaking havoc in the land of the living. If you thought you worked nightmare shifts, wait till you see what these guys have to deal with. Plot seemed to remain the same, based off of the original, and then this version that they finally wrote. Let me go ahead and show you guys some of the pages. I thought this was a fun take on a a night shift, a graveyard shift. There were a couple things that I was a little bit confused about. Like, I was definitely confused why the ghost in the beginning of the story was punching one of the main characters. I didn't understand why that was happening, and some of the words, I know the reader's trying to exaggerate and show that some of these characters are yelling, but I don't know. It kind of just looks a little spammy to me when you press the same letter keys over and over and over, and you kind of get this cheater or ah or wah. Like, it's an anime thing, and it's funny. It is, but I don't know. It just kind of puts me off a little bit. But the good points about this story, I thought, were that it was fun, and I liked when the reader showed us the difference between like a normal day and then maybe something a little bit off, like the big ghost chasing them in the middle of the story. That was different. But fun read. What do you guys think? I'll go with Frank first. Frank, what do you think?
Yeah, I really like the reading through all this. This is like I expected it to be kind of buddy comedy, like two guys who otherwise two of those guys that they're gonna beat each other up if the video game is cheating, but they know they come back together when they do their job, which is exactly what happened here. It's kind of like it's a big contrast to me, but I really think it's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
That they're just slacking off, but they got this really important job to do, and their really important job is crazy, and they're just I gotta get back to work immediately, and they better get back to work because this ghost doesn't play around.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really love that contrast there, and a little bit of the fact that like Robin is like seems a little less experienced, but needs to up his game, kind of like Casper needs to show him how, but he's still doing it in a best buddy kind of way to him. I would have liked to know who a little more who like a ghost was, if it was mentioned, like if they are like assigned, was the ghost assigned like more of an identity, like maybe they might have, because I thought it would be like funny if they really if the ghost was like somebody historical in town that they heard of jumping back out of the ground or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would be a good opportunity to really talk about the town or where they live a little, if like the ghost was like an old sheriff or something. That would be just the only like improvement I would make.
Gotcha. Joshua, what do you feel about this?
I think personally, this story suffered a little bit. It was enjoyable, but I think it suffered a little bit from an identity crisis. I think it was trying to do a few too many things. I personally think if they would have just leaned into the humor, right? Like when you asked about like the ghost punching the main character, like that's over the top, and it was supposed to be like funny, right? Like
Yeah.
you can imagine like a Konosuba or something like that, right? But I feel like they tried to make it a little too serious as well, right? I think this needs to be almost like a spoof or something like that. Like it needs to be a comedy. And I just don't feel like they leaned into that enough, because I think there were elements there that I was like, oh wow, like this has a lot of potential to be really funny. I just think they were also trying to make it like shonen action kind of thing as well, and I just think you just lost it just got kind of lost in that nebulous between those two things.
Gotcha.
A lot of
Okay.
potential though. A lot of potential though.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Eric, how do you feel about this?
Well, I think I really like this one. From all the written entries that we got from some of this year, some of manga, I think paranormal shift got like 3 pages to work on its story. So I think with this amount of pages, the writer, did a pretty good job. It still suffers from the all the points that Frank and Joshua raised. So if I had to add anything besides that, I think a little bit of adding a bit of transition or description could help smooth out the transition between the scenes, because I think it got some abrupt transitions between one scene to another. If and like, but I really enjoyed reading this one. I like the dynamic between Casper and Robin. It feels to me natural, and I think it provides insight into their personalities and it adds humor to the narrative.
Yeah, yeah, and just so you guys are aware, these are all just constructive points that we're trying to make. Not to put down anyone in Summer of Manga, but just to give them points that maybe they could improve on and focus on next time they decide to make a short story. And we also try to, like we just talked about, mention the good things too. So this writer did an excellent job. The Paranormal Shift. If you want to vote for this story, go ahead and click this button. If you vote for it, it just tells us as here at Saturday AM that you like the story and why, and it'll just kind of help us decide if we want to pursue working with this writer or artist in the future. So let's go ahead and check out our next story we have here. It is Cutie Wishes Pile Driver by Luke Goji Lufshine. I hope I'm saying that right. I think that is German. But let's go ahead and take a look at the plot. A college freshman enters a wrestling competition for magical girls and must use the power of friendship to overcome the seemingly unstoppable Fleur de Lisa, who is the current reigning champion from her rival university. At the beginning, the protagonist enters the ring and begins the fight. At the middle, there's a short flashback sequence detailing the stakes leading up to their rivalry. And at the ending, she befriends Fleur de Lisa and they form a tag team, vowing to become the best magical girl wrestlers in the industry. Overall, pretty much the story stayed the same based on that plot description. But I want to get Joshua's thoughts on this story first. What did you make of this story?
I really enjoyed. So this is what I'll say. I really enjoyed the art. Like conceptually, the style and everything. I think it was definitely really sketchy. I would have loved to have seen it a little more refined, right, in a finished format. But the style, right up my alley. I thought it was really cool. The premise is awesome, right? Magical girls boxing is sick. Um, I think the only thing I would have said beyond just wanting to see, I guess, more finished art, would have been I thought the pacing was just a little bit off. I thought again the points were there. I just thought the way the story was paced could have been a little bit better.
Hmm. Okay.
But I was really
Fair.
excited by this one. I would love to see more from it.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. What about you, Frank? What did you make of this one shot?
First of all, I go back to when they talked about this on an Instagram post, and I'm already like, this is an awesome concept. Really has a great setup for doing really awesome fight scene and a really great reason to find out what a character has to do there. And then it's like I do read this story, and it's like I understand that working on a short story is really a lot more difficult when you do the reality of it. And I know that I would have liked to see a lot more like cleaner artwork and like really getting to know a few more pages of what the characters were doing at the match.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's a really great concept. Really wanted to. It really left me wanting to know. I gotta have more of this. I really want them to continue. This is otherwise great.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Eric, what say you?
I really like this one as well. I think when the we heard of the all of the Summer of Manga pitches, this was one of those that we were really excited about from this concept alone. Um, Now, upon reading it, it really focused on the fight itself, and of course, since the Saturday AM has Shonen as one of the target audiences, of course, and it's a boxing match, it has to have a lot of action and good flow. I agree with everyone saying regarding the regarding to wanting to see a refined artwork, and I think this kind of story would be greatly improved upon the reading experience if we could have actual more refined panels. Um, we saw the this artist portfolio, and a lot of the artwork were uh, had some sketchy lines, just like these ones that we are seeing on this short story. So for me, at least, I wasn't disappointed seeing how this turned out because I was already expecting something different from the uh, other one shots regarding the rendering of the panels and the art itself.
Mm-hmm.
If I would say something about the story, maybe adding something in the beginning of it regarding Maisie Green motivation,
Mm.
something like, oh, since I'm a grad school student, I really need this. I really need this money that I'm going to get as a price for finishing the tournament, and so I can pay my student loans. It could be something as simple as that. It could be added in as a gag, since this one shot has a lot of comedy on it. But yeah, adding some stakes for the fights, but I really like it
Mm.
overall. So great job.
Yeah, to that point, yeah, I definitely think raising the stakes for this story would have helped it a lot too. Also, I feel like the antagonist character, Dark Ribbon, which is a great name by the way. The main character is Angel Star, and then the antagonist is Dark Ribbon. Those are really cute names. I felt like Dark Ribbon should have been more of a antagonist character, not so much a friendly rival, but more of a like a villain. Like she doesn't want Angel Star like to win, and she's trying to stop her in her tracks. I feel like if it was taken from that perspective, the final payout would have been maybe a little bit sweeter that they become friends at the end. But that's just my opinion. I thought that the art style is very unique. It's very shojo esque, just like it was intended to be. So it's very cute. I love the faces. I will say I agree with you. Going into it, it was probably I was expecting it to be sketchy. I just feel like more refinement with the art would have taken this one shot like a couple notches ahead. Like if you look right here, I'll just use the dialogue balloons for example. And some of these, they're not so much balloons; they're just kind of text put on the one shot. Um, I feel like maybe that could have been used in a better way. Um, but yeah, I have to agree with what you guys are saying. This was a cute story. And yeah, the artist did a great job with this one shot. So if you guys want to check this out, um, it's an issue 159, just like all of these other stories that we're reviewing. And make sure to give it a vote if you thought this was your favorite. So that was Cutie Wish Pile Drivers by Luke Goji Lufenstein. Let's see what our next story is. It is called The Amethyst Soul by Jade. And I will pull up the description for that one.
I love the design of that sword. Pro sword. Let's go.
You know what? I didn't actually notice that until now. It's supposed to be a crow.
It looks like one, right?
Oh wow, that is cool. Yeah,
I really like that one.
yeah. That's neat, Frank. Was that in the description of the character?
It was. I heard directly from Jade that that was what the sword is supposed to look like, and it does happen if you read the story. What the crow does.
Okay, I didn't catch that. Um, Interesting. Okay.
I really love that sword.
Yeah, it's cool. Corbin is the discarded and disgraced son of the Emperor and his deceased Black Knight, Lady Wren. To get back into his father's good graces and be allowed re entry into the capital, he has made it his mission to track down the cause of his banishment, the thief Trig. With only his mother's sword and the living hilt, a raven named Loki, he has tracked Trig to the city of Ferris. Ferris is a city of constant parties and amusement. Here, Corbin must uncover which of the masked residents is Trig, and recover the gemstone he stole from the palace. However, not everything is as it seems. Ferris is under the rule of Duke Ignel, a man loyal to the throne who fears Corbin's clash with Trig will reveal secrets the prince is not meant to know. To keep the crown's skeletons concealed, the Duke orders an attempt on Corbin's life, forcing him to team up with Trig in stealing the Duke's treasure, and revealing to Corbin that his father has been corrupting the people of the Empire through spells and hexes. This includes Lady Wren, whose soul is trapped in the gemstone Corbin has been trying to recover from Trig. In the end, Corbin decides he must set the kingdom straight himself, and if he captures Trig along the way, it will be an added bonus. So I think the story is a bit different from the one shot. When I was reading this, I do remember them getting into the action right away. And most of the story I remember was about them fighting over taking the jewel. But I had a little bit of trouble following the story, kind of keeping up with everything that was going on, and then remembering certain elements. So it was a little bit hard for me to explain. Like, if I had to paraphrase it myself, I don't think I'd really be able to. The only thing I really got out of this was them trying to fight over the gem, and then the twist at the end where this character July, I guess it's supposed to be kind of like a character that the main protagonist knows. But I mean that's what I got from it. It seemed like a good story though. What did you guys make out of it, Eric?
Well, yeah, if I had to say my overall impression, I think this one presents an engaging tale of magic, betrayal, and some moral dilemmas. And the story, I think it hooks the reader from the start with its immediate conflict and maintains a high level of tension throughout. The world building, especially regarding the Crow Jewels and their ties to souls, is intriguing, and I think it adds depth to the narrative. The character dynamics, particularly the revelation of July's true identity, I think it contributes to the story's complexity. Uh, I think with attention to the transitions, further exploration of characters' motivations, and through thoughtful pacing, this story has the potential to be a compelling and more immersive narrative. Of course, taking into consideration that this was a short story, I think it's a promising piece with a unique magical system and really cool characters.
Okay. Joshua, what did you think?
I definitely like the complexity of this one. I just think it was at times really complex in the sense that there's just a lot of details. Like from the jump, there's just a lot of names thrown out. There was a lot of things that I just didn't know because I've never read this story before. And it's I get this way with some stories just in general. It's like when you introduce to me a bunch of like world building names and things all at once. I'm like, okay, I don't know what any of this means. I'm sure I'll find out, but it's just like as an initial data dump, it's just a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought again, I did really like that this was a more complex story.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It was kind of like the Fenrir the Hunted, which was also a complex story that we had in the previous issue. A lot of thought went into these stories, and it's appreciated. What about you, Frank? What do you think?
Um, like what's been said already, it's as soon as you start reading, there's a lot going on, a lot of characters, a lot to stack up first. It's like it's already starting in the middle of a confrontation scene where it's like being questioned for crimes or a similar event, and it's like I already know this is interesting once I start reading it. It's just I just calm down and just put it all together first so that we can keep figuring out why they're here. And then eventually I did figure it out, but it's like and it became a lot more fun as I kept reading it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I know it's a lot of good deception and things aren't always what they seem going on to this.
Mm.
I do think a proper introduction, like really just generally saying who the characters are a little clearer would have helped at the beginning.
Mm.
Once again, just like with Olympus, I had like a little insight from Jade on like who Corbin was before I read the story because I drew the Corbin illustration at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes me want to see this. Me personally, I want to see this in like manga artwork form. Like I want to draw this story as like full manga form and panels because there's a lot like there's all sorts of scenes like battling with the crow sword and like the guy friend gets away and turns into a bird or something and flies away and it's like I'd love to see that like fly away over the town and stuff like that.
Mm. That's an interesting idea. Um, yeah, well, appreciate you guys' thoughts and opinions on this story. Um, if you guys like the story too, this was Amethyst Soul by Jade. And you could vote either right here or you could vote at the end right here. We got links kind of throughout the Summer of Manga issue where you guys could vote. But yeah, let's see what our next story is about. I think we're coming toward the end here. This might be our last one shot. If not, then it's probably like the second to the last one. But let's take a look at this Memories and No Reservations by Aluishi. Let's read the plot as well. Okay. So, in a restaurant temple tucked between the human world and the ethereal realm, spirits and gods lost in time gather to find the perfect dish that can restore their memories. Mishan, the talented but underappreciated manager of the establishment, finds themselves in a bind when a customer turns into a destructive monster. When they report to Rook, the fastidious owner, I can't say that word, I'm sorry, of the restaurant, the former fires off an unending series of spirit textbook questions at Mishan to identify the issue, all the while trying to contain the monster. Mishan answers all correctly but fails to dodge an attack and gets thrown underneath a table. Pashu, a flustered server, comes to their aid and reports that their customers have gone missing while evacuating. Dazed but furious, Mishan looks up from the ground to see several white blob creatures performing a ritual in the shadows. Mishan then spies a similar-looking blob biting the head of the monster. Piecing together that the ritual is allowing the blobs to possess another spirit, Mishan steals the parchment containing the magical circle from the blobs and takes control. They tell Pashu to find out the identities of the blob spirits and instruct Lorna, the head chef, to start the food prep, and Kite, the chef's apprentice, to double-check the customer count. As Rick attempts to subdue the monster in the background, the rest of the staff cooks up a storm to restore the blob monster's memories. The other customers watch with avid curiosity as they make the finishing touches, and Mishan shoves the dish of mooncakes into the blobs' mouths. This helps the blobs remember themselves as rabbit spirits that collectively bring joy during the mid-autumn festival. This releases their control on the other spirit, who returns their old form from the monster. The rabbit blobs and the other customers help put the restaurant back together, and the staff commends Mishan, who boasts saying they had it all under control. Rook, however, hands them a mop and tells them to start cleaning up. She takes the strange magic parchment paper and burns it into ashes. This was a very interesting story. It had a really neat concept. First off, I really like the names like Mishan and Pashu. It just kind of sounds like Chinesey. It sounds almost like a Chinese name. I think that's kind of neat. The idea of them trying to serve like spirits with food, I think that's a pretty interesting idea. Like, I could definitely see this being like a long-term series. They'd probably have to give the characters more of like a motive, and individual things that they're striving for. But yeah, I really like the idea with this one. The one thing I'd say I would have liked to see a little bit more is just a more refined art style. Like, you could tell the artist is very good. They're great at toning. They've got really good character designs. I guess maybe just a little bit more refinement with the art, just to give it that extra little polish. But already, I feel like the artist is standing on really good legs. Frank, what did you think of this one shot?
When it comes to artwork, I would say this is the best style and artwork appearance in this issue. Definitely love the artwork here, and the kind of environment that we're working in. This like really like wonderfully ornate restaurant where you can definitely tell they're gonna do supernatural, magical things here. It's like take this panel right here where the panels are the wispy smoke, like trying to really take a look back through this type of paneling here. Even if you were to go back and look at this floor and how the people appear through the floor, and it's just that's excellent panel work.
Yeah, for sure. What did you think about the
The
story?
artist really concentrated on how to fully set up the scene. So I want to see what this is the artist that I really want to see what refined and completion on a page looks like. They go back and take their time.
Mm,
So I want to see what the result of that would look like.
okay. What did you think of the story?
The story was I got caught up in the artwork a whole lot, but I didn't really piece together what the story was all the time until you just gave the synopsis of it.
Gotcha, gotcha. So you kind of, it was a little bit confusing for you to understand, but
A little confusing. It's
okay.
like I know this is a restaurant and they need to help a spirit or like a monster with reclaiming a memory or here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of getting lost in the middle there.
I see. I
A
see.
little bit more like concentration and refinement, and I really think they go back and get it with a little more practice, a little more think it through one more time.
Mm, gotcha.
Kind of reminds me of that like JoJo Bizarre Adventure episode where you go to the restaurant and I don't I cook you the dish that you need, not the dish you want, because I help you here.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. I didn't think you'd go that direction, Frank, but I like that. It's a good reference for sure. I does kind of feel like JoJo esque in some ways.
I mean like story theme.
Story theme. Yeah, yeah, I could see that too. What about you, Eric?
Um, I really like this one. I like the concept. You can easily tell that the artist, the author, I think it's pronounced Eliushi.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if I butchered the name. Uh, you can really tell that there's a lot of folklore and mythology inspired by mis- basically the whole story. You can tell that it uh, it deviates from it brings a lot of author's the author's own culture, and I really like the concept, the whole thing with the restaurant, as Frank said, uh, that the cooks need to bring something to the monster that is attacking the restaurant to make the monster uh, kind of uh, go back to the form that they were before. I really love the compositions for the pages. Each page that you turn for this short story, it's it always has something interesting to look at. Definitely with more refinements, we can definitely see this artist uh, go all out. And for all the short stories from this issue, I think this one's is the one that I would definitely want to see more in the future.
Yeah, and to add to that, the world building is like super
Yes,
interesting too.
definitely.
Yeah. What do you think, Joshua?
I really enjoyed this one. I think the art style was incredible. I think the only thing I'd even have to say is that at times the pacing felt a little off, right? Like things felt maybe a little bit rushed. But I thought overall this was a really strong story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Was there something I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Was there something else that you liked about this story, Joshua, or
Yeah, I definitely liked the influences. You can tell, right? And I thought the premise was really unique. I've not seen anything really like this, so
Mhm.
I thought that was a really cool aspect to it. I thought it felt very fresh.
Okay. Yeah, kind of like a new spin on like Food Wars, like just adding a whole new element in there, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, awesome. Awesome. Good stuff, you guys. If you want to vote for this story, this was Memories, No Reservations by Alushi. And the artwork here, the coloring is really nice. So again, guys, if you liked any of these stories, just be sure to check out Saturday issue 158. We got a lot of graphic novels as well. If you want to check out our manga, I believe our next book that is coming out is Titan King Volume 2, which is this one right here. And that should already be out by the time this video is published. So, yeah, be sure to check out our issues. Be sure to check out our manga. We're going to have some really cool announcements coming up. Earlier in the video, I think you guys saw some ads. One of them, we're doing a clothing spot, like a clothing collab or something like that. We're doing well, what would you guys call it? A clothing collab or a clothing sponsorship with Atsuko? Is that what it is, Joshua?
Yeah, we've got an apparel partnership with the team at Itsuko. So we're gonna have Saturday AM merch that's gonna be regularly posted there. So it's
Yes.
exciting stuff.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. What Joshua said. I wasn't thinking of the right words, but yeah, be sure to check out the website. You can get those designs. I believe they're limited, so if you so they're only available for a certain amount of time. So be sure to check that out. And then lastly, we're having our Saturday Con event, which is coming up in the beginning of November. And if you guys don't know what that is, Saturday Con is our convention that we're putting together. The first year that we had it, it was a virtual convention, but this year it's going to be an in-person event in North Carolina. So it's going to be really fun. It'll be an opportunity for you guys to meet and greet our artists. So, yeah, lots of good stuff, guys. But again, I just want to thank the judges for coming out and just helping us go through and providing critiques. Did you guys have any last words for the audience?
Well, um, so definitely, if you guys that are watching right now, if any of the short stories pique your interest, definitely go take a look at the website. Pull up the Saturday AM website, our newest issue for Saturday AM. Uh, for the time of this video, it should be still free to read. So definitely go take a look of the on all the stories, and definitely the artists would appreciate you giving them some feedback, uh, voting for your favorite. So yeah.
Yes. Yes. Frank, what about you?
I would like to say that I enjoy that we have a smaller company that's a still growing publisher, Saturday AM, and I really want to thank you for having this event in your company to really showcase so many people who have a all have an idea in art and
Mm-hmm.
writing in their hearts and love to have a platform to explain what we all love to write and love to draw. And I'm saying that as a fan and saying that as someone who has participated in this before.
Mm-hmm.
So even with the words that I have tried to tell you in this recording, I say it as someone who's been here before. I understand how hard it is to get everything you want to say in a short story,
Mm.
and the difficulties behind that.
Yeah.
As the phrase goes, if it were easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how much respect I have for Saturday AM and everyone here participating.
Thank you,
So
Frank.
that's all part of why I would also love everyone. Just check them out. Go vote. Offer what you thought.
Yeah, appreciate it, Frank. And Joshua, did you have any final remarks?
Yeah, just keep supporting us. We've got some really cool things coming down the pipeline, and we're excited to share those with you. Thank you again for having me on, and go fight win Saturday AM.
Awesome. Awesome. What a great way to end it, you guys. Those of you watching, you take care now, and we're going to be releasing some new YouTube videos in the coming weeks, so be on the lookout. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys again with another episode soon. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you.